So for electric vehicle success stories, there's nothing more famous than the Nissan LEAF. For its entry-level price point and the features that it offers, it's a great electric vehicle for everyday drivers.
So let's take a deep dive on the 2022 Nissan LEAF S Plus.
The Nissan LEAF has been around since 2011, and since its inception has become an award-winning electric vehicle that is also one of the world's most popular EVs. This second-generation S Plus model is no exception when it comes to the affordability at a price point, which the Nissan LEAF has always been known for. So power for this Nissan LEAF comes from a 160 kilowatt AC synchronous electric motor rated for 214 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque, sending that power to the front wheels only. This Nissan LEAF S Plus in particular has a 62 kilowatt hour air-cooled lithium-ion battery pack that gives you 226 miles of EV range. The MSRP for this S Plus is $32,400, and that is before taxes or destination charges. Keep in mind that the Nissan LEAF still qualifies for the federal tax credit of $7,500, which effectively brings the price point of this Nissan LEAF to $24,900. So let's take a closer look at this Nissan LEAF S Plus model and see what we think.
The exterior of the 2022 Nissan LEAF S Plus, in my personal opinion, is a really nice looking electric vehicle. I've always been a big fan of hatchbacks, and I definitely think Nissan has taken the design language of what somebody might be familiar with the LEAF and just elevated it more. Obviously, the original Nissan LEAF compared to where we're at with this current generation that's been out for a few years, Nissan has done a really good job, including some of their more V-focused grills and highlighting that this is a Nissan vehicle. What's really nice about the 2022 Nissan LEAF S Plus is that it has this roof design called the floating roof highlighted in black, so it actually makes the roofline look really nice. And even though that this is the base in terms of being a plus trim, you still get LED brake lights, but the rest of the lights on the vehicle are halogen, but it still does look very nice from the outside. The exterior paint color of this specific LEAF is called Glacier White, and what's really nice about the LEAF is that they include blue accents that line the front of the vehicle as well as the bumper and the grille, which highlights that this is an electric vehicle. A lot of manufacturers have done that, and I think that this works really well in contrast with the white paint. One thing we do want to highlight is that this LEAF S Plus does come standard with 16-inch machine finished aluminum wheels. Yes, they are very small wheels, but it does help with efficiency and it does help with riding, which we'll get to later on in the video. To highlight the technology, the LEAF S Plus does come standard with intelligent keyless entry with push button start. So all you have to do is keep the key fob in your pocket, walk up to the vehicle, and then all you have to do is press the button on the door handle and then it opens. A lot of vehicles offer this, but at this price point, we definitely think that this is a good standard. This key fob also does open the charge port, which is really nice. You can also open the charge port inside, but this key fob really does offer a lot of functionality. So now let's talk about the charge port location on the Nissan LEAF. It is directly in front of the vehicle, and I know that this is a hot topic, but I personally think it does offer a lot of practicality. That way, all you have to do is just drive into a parking spot and plug the vehicle in directly. It does make it a little bit easier, but we'll get to charging pros and cons later on in the video. Two things I want to highlight: it does have a light, and the connector does lock to the vehicle, which is really nice. And one con of the exterior, technically it's underneath the hood, but there is no front trunk or frunk. It does look like there could be space for it, but sadly Nissan doesn't include one.
So let's dive into this interior of this Nissan LEAF S Plus. So I'm just a little over 5 foot myself, and then Brandon is just a little over 6 foot. So between either one of us, there's a wide range of adjustability when it comes to the seats in the interior. We have plenty of headroom and legroom to go around. Speaking of these seats, these are the black cloth seats with the blue accents and the blue piping and stitching in the seats as well. So the driver's side is just a 6-way manually adjustable, and then the passenger is just a 4-way manually adjustable. They are very comfortable seats even for just being cloth. But there's a lot of great features when it comes to this interior of this Nissan LEAF, even if I think it's a little basic for the class. You still have push button start, you have automatic climate control, you do have an 8-inch touchscreen with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and an LCD instrument cluster as well. Here is the 7-inch LCD instrument cluster in the Nissan LEAF. So on your left, you have your LCD cluster, but on your right, you have the analog gauges for your speed as well. What I like about the LCD instrument cluster is you have a wide range of options and availability. You control this via the left side of the steering wheel buttons right here. You can kind of go through all of your controls, see your warnings, change your settings for your driver assistance. There's a lot of great options here that Nissan has added. Right here is the Nissan Connect 8-inch color display. This comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and also Bluetooth connectivity as well. There's plenty of settings on here, and the touchscreen is very responsive. One thing that I will say is this car, this S Plus, only has 4 speakers. So you're not going to be bumping jams and, bumping up that bass too much in this car, but I think it's pretty adequate for what it needs for everyday transportation. The great thing is you have buttons for all of your needs. So you have a button for a menu, you have a button for your camera, track forward, back and forth, and my favorite thing is you have a volume and tuning knob. I'm so glad there's not touch buttons here at all. Touchscreen is very responsive and lots of great basic options for your everyday needs. Coming down here from the infotainment, here is the center console. So there's a little joystick here that allows you to put the car into park, neutral, reverse, drive, or beat. You also have your buttons for your Eco and E-pedal, which is your one driving mode. You have your push button start button right there. Beside that is the USB Type-C and Type-A plugs, and you also have your 12 volt as well. We found that our iPhone 13 Pros do fit in this little cubby hole, which is actually pretty nice for your phone. Let's talk front storage options for a moment. So right here in the door bins on either side, you have a nice section here that is molded for a nice size water bottle, large size water bottle with little pockets on the side. You have 2 front cup holders and a little cubby beside that. And you also have the glove box as well. So there's plenty of storage options up here in the front. Now let's go to the rear of the Nissan LEAF here to talk about cargo for a moment. So one thing that we love about hatchbacks is it allows you to store, a lot of stuff here in the cargo area. So with the seats up, we're looking at 23.6 cubic feet of storage space, which is actually quite a lot for the hatchback of this size. When you fold the seats down, you're looking at 30 cubic feet of space. Now, the seats don't really fold flat per se with the load floor, but I still think there's a lot of great ability to put in a bicycle or luggage as you need to and carry all your items here in the Nissan LEAF.
So now let's talk about charging, because this is where the Nissan LEAF shines and also doesn't shine at the same time. So the nice thing about the Nissan LEAF is that you do have 2 charge ports. You have the green or the J1772 AC charging, but you also have the blue or CHAdeMO fast charger that comes standard on this trim. The only thing with this is that the CHAdeMO or blue standard is starting to become a little bit more obsolete here in the United States, so it might be a little bit more difficult to find those charging stations or connectors out in the public. But if you can, it can charge up to 100 kilowatts at the right station, which is good to charge your vehicle from 20 to 80% in about 45 minutes, which is not bad. But it's just good to know that this charging standard is becoming less common in the United States. Overall, driving the Nissan LEAF S Plus is a lot of fun. With its instant torque, especially going to the front wheel, you can really squeal the front tires, which is a lot of fun. And with it riding on 16-inch wheels, it really does soak up those bumps really well, especially here in the Cleveland area. Was very impressed with it. Yes, you will not win those 0 to 60 races, but 0 to 35, you should beat the majority of vehicles out on the street. Obviously, if it's another electric vehicle, you might have a little bit of a loss on your hands, but that's okay. The Nissan LEAF is really meant to be driven efficiently, and even in eco mode, it's still a lot of fun to drive. The interior is really quiet, the materials feel really well put together, and overall, it was a joy to be inside the Nissan LEAF S Plus. The seats are super comfortable, and that's one thing that Nissan has really put a lot of focus on in their vehicles is the comfort inside. And that's definitely noticeable here in the Nissan LEAF. Overall, regardless of its fallbacks, the Nissan LEAF S Plus is a fantastic vehicle, especially if you are looking to get into an electric vehicle at an entry-level price point. With its hatchback styling, its functionality, safety technology, the Nissan LEAF S Plus offers an array of functionality that will be great for everyday drivers. Overall, we really recommend checking out the Nissan LEAF S Plus. As always, we hope you enjoyed this review. Make sure you subscribe to the CleanTechnica YouTube channel and check us out on our many other social platforms. And as always, we'll catch you guys in the next car review.